I, Shruti Yadav, on behalf of SPIE Student Chapter, University of Delhi, at Acharya Narendra College and DBT Star College Scheme, would like to extend a very warm welcome to each one of you present here.
Good evening.
A little introduction of what SPIE is all about before we start today. SPIE is an international society for photo-optical instrumentation engineers. The main aim of the SPIE student chapter at ANDC is to promote optics and photonics among undergraduate students by providing valuable academic career development through various events, workshops, competitions, and activities. So today's session is all about career opportunities in publishing, and I am very delighted to invite Mr. Sahil Gupta, the founder at publishingconsultant.in. The venture publishingconsultant.in was started as a pro bono consultancy unit as a director to extend purposive support to authors' project with regard to their publication. As a consultant, Mr. Sahil Gupta has conducted various webinars and seminars across colleges and universities on topics pertaining to book publishing industry for students' welfare and future. He is closely associated with IGNOU and successfully conducted webinars on career opportunities with gyms as well. So without wasting much time, I would like to invite Associate Professor at ANDC and DBT Star Coordinator, Dr. Ravneet Kaur, to welcome Mr. Sahil Gupta. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Shruti. A very warm welcome to everyone present in this webinar session on publishing, organized by SPIE Student Chapter and Star DBT Scheme. Publishing can offer various opportunities to people depending upon their skills and interest. So if you are an avid reader, then you must have thought of working in a publishing house. So there is no greater pleasure for someone who loves book than working in a field where the job responsibilities are her favorite hobby. So we are here with Mr. Sahil Gupta, founder at publishingconsultant.in, as our eminent speaker for today's session. Mr. Sahil will apprise you with some of the interesting and important job profiles of a publishing house. We welcome you, Sahil ji, and you can start the session.
Thank you.
From here on.
Thank you, Shruti, for the lovely introduction, and thank you, Dr. Kaur. I think we are briefing about publishing as an industry and the kind of opportunities that that entails has been very enlightening. So I first of all welcome all the students here to this. So Shruti has already introduced me. I am Sahil Gupta. I am the director founder here at Publishing Consultant. That's a pro bono initiative that I have. I am also the director founder at V&S Publishers, one of the leading publishing houses in Delhi, in India, for general books. So I would be from time to time sharing some prominent websites and resources on the chat boxes. So I think it'll help students be a little, make them more aware of what publishing is. So, okay, so let's not make it a one-sided conversation. I don't want to say something which seems like a jargon. So, okay, let's make it interactive. So who can tell me what publishing exactly is? I'm sure there are a lot of readers, book readers. Anybody? What exactly is publishing? No one? Okay, posting blog. Divakar is saying posting blog. Anybody else? Okay, so very quickly, see what is publishing. If you have an information to share, if you want to pen down something, and by penning it down, whether it's posting it on a blog, whether it's writing it on a website, anything and everything, all the data and all the content that we consume on internet, everything to do with books, that all comes under the gamut of publishing. Now, while publishing is a very wide field, and it entails things like publishing magazines, publishing blogs, publishing books, I would broadly introduce all these facets to you, and I will then come and talk more particularly about, which is my domain area of book publishing. So first of all, you got to understand that in a society where we live, it is imperative that publishing happens. The need for publishing has been there in our society for ages, from the times date back to the days of Mahabharata, when content was being written on tamrapatras. And why was it written? See, as human beings evolve, there was an inherent need to not just have food, clothing, and shelter, but to share your knowledge with your offsprings. So what was the best way to do that? Obviously, one way is to talk to them, but they will not be able to retain everything. So that led way to record keeping. So people started writing things, people started recording things. It started with things which were more graphic. So you would see a lot of ancient languages being more graphic in nature than probably a language like English or Hindi that you see right now around you. So over a period of time, there was when everybody started sharing information. And in today's digital age, when we have excess of information, what was needed was to collate that information and put it in the right format, which is friendly to people, which people can consume, which people can understand, and most of all, information which is authentic, right? So all of you, I assume, are very, very friendly with internet and you read a lot of content. And there was a time, and very often you see these days also, there's a lot of fake news that circulates around, right? So anything which is on internet, every content that you consume, be it on a blog, anything is publishing. So the process starts when somebody has a thought in their mind, to the final version when the thought is put into words and displayed on any of the platforms for people to consume. This entire process is publishing. So publishing is the bigger thing, and then you obviously have different departments under publishing. In my line of work, and I come across a lot of new authors, I come across a lot of students, I come across a lot of laymen, customers, and very often they confuse publishing with something like printing. So publishing is not printing. Printing is just one of the arms of publishing. It's just one of the facets of publishing. Printing is not publishing. Okay. So what are the different types of publishing, if I were to talk about? So one, obviously, one is publishing news. So something which is for the sake of information alone. So the day-to-day, newspaper publishing, be it in an e-format, be it in the physical format, that is publishing newspapers. The other broad category is publishing of magazines, right? Whether it's in Hindi, Greh Shobha, or whether you talk about the popular English magazine, the likes of India Today's and Reader's Digest in one time. So that is publishing of magazines. The other category of publishing, and obviously in digital age, is digital publishing. So by digital publishing, I mean, like when Devakar mentioned, something like writing your own blog, something about having your own website, publishing a Wikipedia page, having content. It could be publishing a video. So having, YouTube Reels, TikToks, Insta Reels. So all that is also publishing. So when you create content, and the content may be graphic, the content may be video, the content may be audio, the content may be textual. So when you create content and put it on a forum, and the forum may be digital or it may be physical, for people to consume, that process is called publishing, right? So you need not necessarily print everything. You can just go online, go to WordPress, create a website, and there you have publish your content. So one of the biggest facets, one of the biggest arms of publishing worldwide is book publishing. So what is the need that book publishing arises? Of course, I have mentioned about sharing the information. The one thing which differentiates publishing and which makes it very, very important, and more so in a country like India, is the fact that book publishing particularly is responsible for authenticity, right? So all of us students consume a lot of content. You're all students from different genres. Some of you may be studying engineering and photo optics and everything. So while you can refer to internet, while you can refer to various forums, while you can refer to a lot of Reddit pages and a lot of Quora forums and everything, at the end of the day, When you study for examinations, when you study for any papers, when you want to prepare for your thesis, when you want to prepare for projects, why do all of us, including me, why do we always come back to the book? Why? Authenticity. What differentiates a book from any and every other content that is published, whether online or offline, is authenticity, fact checking. When you go to Amazon, when you buy a book, when you go to the shopkeeper, you get a book in your hand, or even when you are downloading any particular ebook, one thing you can be sure of is that the information that is contained, that the book carries, is authentic, it is correct, it is truth, it is layouted in a manner which is easy to comprehend, it is friendly, and it has a certain structure to it. So it is very important, and while I would be very soon I will be talking about careers in publishing, it is very important that you first understand what publishing entails and why is it needed. In today's day and age of digital media, when everybody seems to be creating content and there seems to be excess of content available for people to consume, it is becoming increasingly important for publishers and publishers like me and around me to make sure that we authenticate the information and we bring out the content which is marquee, which is true. Because eventually, when people are in a shoe, when people get confused, they always turn to books. You have to come back to books. Eventually, when I have done all my research and everything, and I just want to finally authenticate something, and I want actual knowledge, what do I refer to? I go to a book. You have read 10 articles, and one article is saying something, the other article is saying something, the other article is saying something. So what do? You collate all the information, pick up a good book from the market, and you authenticate what is right and what is not. So in today's digital age, which gives everybody the opportunity to create content, to consume content at almost zero prices, it is very important for publishers like us to be responsible. And the reason why I am here is because the onus lies on the upcoming generation, on you students, to take forward that legacy and adopt publishing as a career. So that brings us to the next question of, since people are not aware of, most of us are not aware of publishing, how big is this industry? Anybody has any broad idea? What are the kind of numbers we are looking at? People talk about Bollywood being a big industry, IT being a big industry. We all know that. How big is publishing? Is publishing big? Yes, no. Anybody wants to comment? You can put something in the chat bar. A few thousand rupees, lakhs, crores, hundreds of crores. So let me give you a figure. And this is just for an idea. Publishing industry as on 2019 in India alone, and let me tell you, India is probably the third or fourth largest country in the world in terms of publishing industry size. India's size was 827 billion rupees. And that is the size of the industry. And just to give you an idea of how big it is, Bollywood is no more than 185 billion. So we are talking about an industry which is more than 4 times the size of Bollywood industry. So that gives you an extent of what is the size of the industry that we are talking about. And you can very well assume the kind of opportunity that this big industry entails for all of you. But why are we talking about this now? Why am I holding this seminar? Why am I telling you that publishing is an industry? Why have we been talking about it 20 years back, 30 years back? Where was publishing all these years, right? That's the question that some of you might be having in your mind. So you got to understand there is something that a lot of economists could tell you. And if any of you is an avid reader, especially in economics, they will tell you that every decade in India, and this has been going on for the last 40, 45 years, every decade in India brings with itself a new revolution, right? So in the 80s, it was industrial revolution, right? Industry started coming, people started setting up manufacturing plants, industrial policy got eased. At the turn of the century, in the late 90s, it was the boom of IT. So IT revolution and computers, and everybody was talking about IT. Everybody wanted to be an engineer, Silicon Valley. So that was the case. Then around 2009, 10, post the recession, it was the financial boom, So you talked about digital money, you talked about cryptos, and people were talking about fintech as a sector. So it was a financial boom, and the last 10 years will tell you that. So we, in 2022 and in 2020, actually, are at the cusp of, India is at the cusp of an ed tech revolution. We are at the cusp of an ed tech revolution, and it is here to stay. Why is it so? Why are we at the cusp of ed tech revolution? I'll give you some, again, I just want to tell you some numbers. The reason why we are at the cusp of ed tech revolution is because there is a massive populace in India which is young, who is reading, who wants to learn, who wants to grow up with the internet penetration. Everybody is becoming aware. They want to reach places. So what is the best way to do that? Study. Educate yourself, right? The publishing market in India, and more than 93% of the publishing market in India is governed by academic publishing. Academic publishing entails school book publishing, college book publishing, higher ed publishing, competitive book publishing, books for competitive. And this, I'm only talking about book publishing as an industry. I'm not even talking about blogs. I'm not even talking about the likes of Byju's and those edtech guys. I'm purely talking about book publishing industry in India. So we are at the cusp of an edtech revolution, and it is imperative for you as students to understand that this is an opportunity. While we know that people are aware about IT being an industry, people are aware about automobile being an industry, manufacturing being an industry, more and more students are now opting towards consultancies and financial managements. And while all that is there, yes, but the only reason why I'm here is to tell you, and I'm not here to pitch you, I'm just here to tell you that publishing is an industry out there that needs young students like you to take it forward. And there is an opportunity. And there is a massive, massive opportunity that all you students can make use of. So what kind of opportunities does book publishing?
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah. So this
Sir, you are telling that publishing is a career opportunity. What
Definitely.
kind of things should young people publish?
Okay. So what kind of young people publish? So I think that's the other side of the coin, where a little different from what we are talking here about, but I'll just quickly address that. So when you talk about what kind of books people should publish, so if you talk about from an author's perspective as to if you are a budding author, if you want to write books, so let me tell you that there is in a country like India, with the size of the Indian populace, almost every topic sells in some numbers or the other. It depends upon the kind of market you're dealing with. Whether you have a fiction in mind, whether you have non-fiction, whether you write cookery, whether you write poetry, whether you write academic book, whether you have a research thesis. So it depends upon what you specialize in. It depends upon how you put across your thought. It depends upon what kind of a novelty you bring to the table, right? So, see, nobody wants to read something which is just run of the mill. If a thought is already out there and you are putting across the same thought in the same manner, nobody's going to pick that up. So if you're a budding author, what is very important for you is to tell your story. If you're writing a fiction, if you're writing a poetry book, if you're writing something like a biography or a true account kind of a thing. So one very important thing is to be honest to what you're writing, right? Don't plagiarize. Don't copy paste. Don't think that, yes, Chetan Bhagat has written a very good book. This is a brilliant idea. Let me rip it off. Rip-offs don't work, right? So you got to have an original idea. non-plagiarized content, well written, right? So I'm talking about the grammar, I'm talking about the punctuation, I'm talking about the writing flow, I'm talking about the style of writing, I'm talking about how you are presenting a certain idea, right? See, in the market, if you go and if you for example have to go into the market and you want to buy a run of the mill book, right? And you want to buy, say, for example, a book on cookery, right? So, and you have an option in front of you and you have multiple books. Which one would you buy? You are more likely to buy a book which has got a lot many images. You're more likely to buy a book which explains the recipe with more details, right? Rather than something which is just written in a paragraph form. So whatever you are penning it down, the more unique the idea is, the better it is written, the higher the level of originality in the work, the higher the chance of you getting published and being picked up by a prominent publisher. So that answers your question of what should you write in order for you to get published. So coming to what I was saying about career in publishing, is there anything else you want to ask, Harsh?
No, sir.
Okay, great.
Not right now.
So what are the kind of career opportunities? What are the different options that publishing has for students like you, right? So you have done your graduation, you're ready, and now, so what do you write? So what are the posts, right? What are the job opportunities? So you've got to understand that publishing as a process and as an industry is divided into different departments, just like any other industry. The first side of any publishing house, and perhaps the most important side, is editing. Editing, writing, content development, editorial, peer review. So if you are good at writing, it's a career opportunity. You can become an author. If you are good at rewriting, if you are very good with grammar, if you're very good with punctuations, you can become an editor, you can become a proofreader. If you are very good with a particular subject in terms of what your understanding is and how you can explain it, and you are good at checking for rights and wrongs, you could become a peer reviewer. You could become a subject matter expert for that particular subject. So that's just one side of the things. I'm just purely talking about editing. The next step is design, and I think this is one of the biggest opportunity for young students. Design. In design, you could be a very good animator. There's a lot of demand for animation. People who are good with animation, who have a very good imagination, who can create animation just purely after reading a textual content. So if there is a story out there and somebody asks you to create an animation revolving around a story, that is very much in demand. If you are a good artist, if you are a good cartoonist, if you are a good caricature guy, there's a lot of opportunity for designing. If you're a good designer purely in terms of the kind of colors you choose, in terms of how you can imagine things, in terms of the layouts, there's a huge demand for people who are good with designing. So designers is another big opportunity. Layouters, typesetters, typists. Then we are talking about the manufacturing side of the thing. So you can become an operations supervisor, you can become a printer, you can become the production guy. Then I'm talking about business development. There's a whole range of opportunities. So, and it is not that publishing as an industry is any different from any other office that you work. If you are a business development manager with a big consulting firm, if you're a business development manager with a manufacturing enterprise, what is your aim? Your aim over there is to increase the business. It's very similar to how a publishing house works. At the end of the day, once a publishing house does have a book ready, he has to sell it, right? It is a profit-making business. It's not pro bono. We publishers do make money. We do have to pay our dues. We do pay salaries. So business development managers, regional managers, sales personnel, sales executives, you name it and you're there. Why am I talking about you opting for publishing as a career? The reason is that in the last, and while I am a third generation publisher and I have been in the business for the last almost 15 years now. Our experience, and not only just mine, us as publishers, when we enter a room, right, and there are 100 of us, it's a rarity that more than 10% of the people have black hair, right? There are all oldies in the room. We don't see young people. We rarely see young people in publishing. And when we go to the colleges, when we meet people, we meet teachers, we meet editors, we don't come across a lot of people wanting to opt for publishing as a career option. They're just not aware. They just don't know if this exists. When we go out there, when we are looking for resources, when we are looking to find production managers, we are looking for sales executives, we are looking, and I must tell you, it's not that the salaries are any low. We have good salaries. The best part about publishing, when any of the students opt for it as a career opportunity, is the culture. Culture. In publishing industry, you will find people who are educated. Everything and anything that happens in a publishing industry happens around people who are educated, who are knowledgeable, who respect books, who understand the value of knowledge, of content, and that is where you got to be. I'm not saying it's not a corporate environment. You go to publishing houses like Sage, Elsevier, Penguin Random House. I can give you at least 100 names at the top of my mind. They're big corporate houses churning out millions and millions of dollars worth of revenue annually, purely from India. So it's not that they don't have a corporate environment, but just the culture that they have in terms of the respect that people have for each other, for employees, for the environment they're working with. It's not that they don't have overtime hours, but you don't have those so-called corporate politics. And that is what differentiates publishing as a career from most others. Of course, there would be companies where there would be challenges and issues and politics and this and that. But I'm talking something from a more holistic point of view. The reason why I want to encourage all of you to look towards publishing as an industry is because publishing alone and education industry alone is the only industry, and it's the only industry which can help take our nation forward. And the biggest example that I can give to all of you, and I'm sure all of you are aware that some of the top CEOs of big companies as on today, and whether you talk about Google, Sundar Pichai or Satya Nadella or anybody, why are they all Indians? And why was it not the case 20 years back? And why is the pace at which Indians are climbing to the top in the corporate hierarchy increasing? This has to be attributed to Indian education system. It has to be. And how is our education better? Books. The kind of books that we had in the 80s and the kind of books that we have now, and the kind of books we have had in 90s and early 2000s, it is all because of private publishing. If you talk to your fathers, your mothers, your uncles, your teachers, they will tell you that when they were kids and when they were in schools and colleges, they didn't have this much variety of learning material. They just had NCERTs in school. And even in colleges, probably there was 1 or 2 books for each topic or each subject published by some MNC publisher. And that's about it. So in the 80s and 90s, private publishers, the likes of us and many others, realized that there was a need for the Indian market, for the Indian consumer, to bring out high quality books which are affordably priced. And I strongly feel that private publishing, and by private publishing, I mean people like us. So publishing is being done by government. So NCERT is being done by government. You have a lot of state boards publishing their own books, a lot of government funded schemes, publication division. Government of India has their own publication division as well. So I'm not talking about those. And I'm not saying that they don't have quality books. I'm just saying that with the advent of privatization of different sectors, as more and more private publishers started entering the horizon, they brought out books which were innovative, which were well written, which were affordable, which were at par with the quality in terms of their production and presentation of content with their international counterparts. And because of them being published by Indian publisher, it helped in the penetration of books to the market. So what eventually happened was that what people read and the knowledge that they grabbed from the books and what they learned went multiple notches up. And which is one of the reasons why you see some of the top names in the industry being Indians. So with India being at the cusp of an edtech revolution, with India being at the cusp of a population boom again, with India being in a state where it is being a global superpower, I want to encourage all the students out there to just read about publishing, read about book publishing, understand what book publishing is all about, and look towards it as one of the important sectors, not only for your own building, for your own growth, for your own career, but for also it gives you an opportunity to work towards, which is something very close to my heart, nation building. I think as the youth of this country, it is imperative that whatever you do in the next 10, 20, 30 years of your life, if you must contribute toward nation building, and I think publishing and book publishing particularly gives you that opportunity. As far as career opportunities are concerned, it is not that people who are into IT sector or those who are into engineering or those who are into technical side of the things can't have publishing as one of their careers, and that's one of the biggest myths. In today's world, and I think the biggest example is Byju's, more and more publishers are integrating IT with their books, right? So you buy a book, you generally see, books having those QR codes. You can go online, you can buy your books from Dropboxes, ebooks is available. So what is happening is that the lines are getting blurred between education, content, and technology. So there are a lot of opportunities for guys who are into tech side of the things in publishing. So whether you are a manager, whether you are an IT guy, whether you're into sales or marketing, whether you are into PR. PR alone is a big side of publishing industry. PR, media, communication, writing content, being good with marketing lines, understanding, just the fact that you have analytical skills goes a long way in you having a very strong career in book publishing, purely because of you having good analytical skills. You understand what the situation is and you try and find the solutions. You analyze, right? Publishing as an industry, and everybody talks about startups. Just Google and find out the top 50 startups in India in the last 2-3 years. You will find names like Byju's, White Hat Junior, Vedantu, Topper. You'll find all these names coming, all edtech, all education related, all publishers related. So everybody has these apps on your mobile, TOI and Daily Hunt and ET and Punjab Case and all that. So what's that? Where is that content coming from? So there is a guy sitting in Punjab Kesari's office who's constantly writing content. So you can be a writer. There is a guy who is taking that content from that writer, layouting it in a certain format, and then giving it to the IT guy to put it on the internet with the help of a designer. So you see where I'm going with this. And I must tell you, there is no better industry to be in India than edtech and publishing. And one of the opportunities that you have being a publisher is it gives you a lot of entrepreneurship options. 5 years down the line, 7 years down the line, when you have worked, you have gained some experience, and you have your own idea, it's no longer difficult being a publisher. Capital may not be a hindrance. If you have to start a manufacturing plant, you need a lot of capital. You need to buy machinery. You need to abide by industrial laws, labor laws, this and that. With publishing, the only thing you might need is a laptop. Sitting at your home, you can start your own blog. You can start your own forum. You can start writing your own books, start selling your own books. And there's a lot of copyright-free open domain content for you to build upon. It's just a question of how much knowledge you have. Branching out to social media. Social media is huge. All the content that you consume through RVCJ and Curly Tales and Brightside and all these popular pages that you follow on Insta and Facebook and all. What is all that? Publishing only. You're publishing on social media, publishing content. So that is an opportunity you need to look at. Everybody, you just go to LinkedIn and search for freelancer, content. People are sitting at home, they are good at a particular subject, they write books, they write content. They can sell their content, they can publish their content. It can help you make a parallel income as well. You do what you're doing, you do your job and you already have a book selling on Amazon. You can self-publish. So I think there are a lot of opportunities which you as students can explore and know about. Any questions? I didn't want this to be a one-sided conversation. Shruti, Dr. Ramit, might be able to help me with this. Any questions? Okay, has it been too boring? Am I boring you with my lecture? Don't want to do that.
No.
Okay, Harsh. Harsh is the only one listening. Anybody else?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Gaurav. Okay.
No, sir.
Muskan. Okay, so finally I assume few more people here. Any questions? Anything you have in mind? Anything you want to ask? Anything you want to understand? Anything which is not clear?
Sir, you are telling that publishing industries are growing.
Yes.
But nowadays, like social media or any Bollywood thing you told,
yeah,
that includes publishing as well.
Yeah. So Bollywood is separate. Social media in itself, if you see, is not an industry, right? Social media is not an industry.
Yeah.
What in social media? What do you do in social media? Are you at the IT side of the things? Are you at the e-commerce side of the things? Are you at the marketing side of the things, right?
Yes, sir. That includes publishing or not?
Yeah, social media is affiliated to publishing. See, in order for social media to run, what is the one thing that you need? Content.
Content, sir.
Right? If you don't have content, what do you see on your Facebook feed? Nothing.
Nothing.
What do you see if people don't create reels, if people don't put images, if people don't write quotations, share their own things on Insta? What do you consume?
Contents.
So content. So where is that content coming from? Somebody is writing that content, right?
Yes.
So when that content is written, who is handling those pages? Somebody has that page must be owned by somebody, right? Somebody must be managing that page. Somebody must be filtering the data. What if, for example, you are following a page on optics and suddenly that page starts talking about philosophy? Will you read that page anymore? You will not.
No, sir.
You will quickly unfollow it, right? So who ensures that? Who ensures that that page is managed, that there is the right kind of content, the content is good, it is quality. When you see any video, you see any animation, when you see any photograph, it has to be designed. It has to be created. It has to be shot. So there's a lot of production happening at the back end which you're not seeing. So all that is publishing. So whether you want to publish books, whether you want to publish magazines, whether you just want to publish content on the internet, whether you just want to become a publisher for Instagram, I don't know, that might be a thing in the future. You are a publisher for Instagram alone. You are a publisher of Facebook alone. So yes, social media has opened new domain, has opened a whole new side of publishing. How you present your content, how that content is written, where you publish it, how you publish it, how authentic that is. Has anybody of you heard about Quint or Brute? Anybody?
Yes,
Follows
Brute
such
India.
things?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So what's that? What's that? What is that? That's
This,
not Times of India. That is not Aaj Tak. What
so
is it?
they share the things that all usually happens in India, the
Yeah.
rare
Yeah.
things that happen in India.
So do you follow Brute? Do you follow that
Yes,
Quint or anything? Yeah. Why do you follow that? Why do you not follow TOI? Why do you not follow Aaj Tak? Why do you not follow NDTV or something else?
so their contents are not related to the daily life
Exactly.
or
Period. So
anything.
what is Brute? What is Brute? What is Quint? Somebody like you, one of you, somebody decided that there is a lot of trash content coming on TV on multiple channels, and there needs to be better reporting and better journalism needs to be done, right? So they founded Quint, they founded Brute. So what they do, they report news which is authentic, they report something which is relevant, they report and make sure that there is design, there is photo, there is audio, there is video, right? Publishing
Yes,
content, publishing content online. So anything which is related to content and posting content, whether it is online, whether it is offline, whether you publish it in the form of a book, whether you publish it in the form of media on internet, it is an arm of publishing. How you generate revenue out of it is a different ballgame. That's a different story altogether. A lot of job prospects are there. There are a lot of entrepreneurship opportunities. There's a lot of variety to the kind of jobs that you have. And the best part is you don't have to pursue courses. It's not that NIT में जाके कोई कोर्स करना है, SAP का कोर्स कर लेते हैं Udemy पे, 300 रुपए का आ रहा है, ऑफ चल रहा है. You have to do that. Only thing that you need to be when you enter publishing and when you opt for publishing as a career opportunity is to be good at what you do. If you are good at writing, you have a job. If you are good at selling, you get a job. If you are good at analyzing things, you get a job. If you are good at managing people, you get a job. If you are good at with HR, with PR, with public relations, management, talking to people, you get a good job. If you are purely good at any subject under the sun, and I mean it, any subject, right from something as basic as cooking to something as intellectual as some scientific discovery in astrospace, if you are good at it, there is an opportunity for you in publishing industry as a subject matter expert, as a writer, as an editor, as a reviewer. So the only thing is I want all you students who are at the cusp of making it big in the society, I feel, to look at publishing as an opportunity, not just because of the size, not just because of the culture, not just because of opportunities it has, but because, and something that my father used to say, it is a noble profession. It is a good place to be. It helps you contribute to nation building. It helps you connect with people. It gives you an opportunity to do something for the society. And yes, you make money. बहुत सारे लोग सोच रहे हैं सर ये सब छोड़ो, ये बताओ सैलरी कितनी मिलेगी. TCS वाला 25,000 रुपए देता है, आप कितने दोगे? Yeah, that's what the question is. You do get paid. You do get paid, and there are a lot of opportunities for you. You get ably paid for the kind of quality you bring to the table, the kind of specialization skill you bring to the table, the kind of experience you bring to the table, and accordingly you get paid, you suitably you get rewarded. And one of the best aspects of publishing is that you do get your credit. You get featured, you have your names on the books you write, you get published. If you're into sales and marketing, you do get respect from the market. So all that happens. Anybody has any doubt about career in publishing? Why should we opt for it? What should be the next way forward? Anything?
Good evening, sir.
Ritushri, yes.
Hello. Yes,
Yes.
sir, I have questions to ask.
Yeah.
So, first, for beginners, especially students, how
Right.
would you suggest them to make a start in this field? Like, if you be more specific, what
Right.
path to follow?
Right. Okay. So best part
The
is to
okay,
first,
okay,
yeah.
okay, sir. Okay.
Yeah. So first part is to understand yourself as to where you want to be 3 years down the line. What do you want to do? What is it that you are good at? See, there are a lot of publishers have internship programs. We ourselves offer internship to students for 3 months, for 6 months, for 1 month, time and again. That gives you a lot of exposure. If you're good with writing, if you're good with editing, if you're good with speaking, if you're good with a particular subject, if you're passionate about any of the attributes which I talked about before, that is where you start. And once, if not that, if you are not a writer, if you are not an editor, if you're not a video creator, you're not a designer, you're not a photo, you are an IT guy. Once you complete that, just the way you apply to any other industry for job opportunities, just search for book publishers, search for media houses, search for publishers in India, publishers in Delhi. Find out the kind of roles they have offered. Find out what are the job responsibilities they have. See if that aligns with what you're looking for. That is where you start. See, unless you know what you are good at, unless you know that, how do you apply? How would you take the first step? So first you got to understand what side of publishing appeals to you, whether it is the marketing and business development side of the things, whether it is PR side of the things, whether it is production side of the things, IT side of the thing, or whether it is purely content and editing and even if it's content, what kind of content? Is it textual? Is it photo? Is it design? Is it video? And suitably, you identify which are your prospective companies, just like any other company. Engineers का क्या होता है? माइक्रो एसटी माइक्रो इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स में जॉब लग जाए, राइट? माइक्रोसॉफ्ट में जॉब लग जाए. Why? Prospective company, best in class. Similarly, there are best in class publishers also. Whether you want to be at Elsevier, whether you want to work at Sage, any of the book that you are reading, just check out the first page. Who is the publisher? Is it Wiley? Is it Sage? Who is it? Is it Elsevier? Is it JP, Penguin, Random House, Harper, Hachette? Some of the big names. S. Chan. They are the big names. That is where you start. What was your second question, Ritushi?
Yeah, thank you, sir. Sir, I got what you shared with us. So, second question was, so can you discuss more about the paid aspect of publishing? Like, can that happen from the early stage, or you have to be little like warm yourself up and then later on this starts? Like,
So
if I want to
obviously,
earn
just
through
like
this.
just like any other industry, you got to start at the beginning, right? Unless and until you do something and you have a skill which is unmatched, or which is absolutely unique, or which is top of the line, right? अब हर कॉलेज में होता है आईटी एवरी ईयर आईआईटी का या आईएम का यू हेयर ना सम गाय हैज गॉट प्लेस फॉर 1 crore की जॉब एंड व्हाट इज द परसेंटेज कितने स्टूडेंट्स हैं जो एमबीए कर रहे हैं उसमें कितने बच्चों को पैकेज मिला है व्हाई हैज ही गॉट दैट पैकेज ही मस्ट बी हैविंग कुछ तो होगा ना कुछ तो डिफरेंट होगा राइट सो सी यू गॉट टू स्टार्ट एट द बिगिनिंग unless and until you have a skill, you have an education, or you have something which is extraordinary and there is a demand for that skill, you got to start small. Obviously, the bigger the company, the better the pay. The better your profile, your qualification, better the pay. The better your skill is at a certain job, whether it is editing or design or anything, better it is, better the pay scale is. Salaries start from something as low as 15,000-20,000 rupees, and there is no end to how much you get paid. And there truly is no end to how much you get paid. I personally know people who are India heads and they get paid in crores and crores annually, right? But they have an experience of more than 25 years and it took them time to reach there. What is the best point to start? Start small. Somebody just wrote, I do editing on KineMaster Editor, whether it is sufficient or not. See, it's not about sufficiency. It's about, is it something that you like? Is it something that you want to pursue? Is it something that you enjoy? See, doing something once and liking it and wanting to do it over a period of time is different. Honing your skills is important, right? So if your question is, I do my editing on KineMaster regularly, that's good. That is one of the things that you can do. There are a lot of softwares, a lot of tools available to you today to hone your skills. Writing ki baat karo, to you have websites like gaming, video editor creator. Yes, definitely. So gaming is a whole other industry, whole other ball game. Very different dynamics. Very different to how book publishing works. Very novel, very innovative, totally idea centric, very different. So editing videos is different. Editing on gaming tools and editing your coding is different, and editing content is different. So Rakesh, what you are talking about is, video editing. So that is a different kind of a profile. And while that is needed, and there's a lot of work that happens on that, you got over a period of time, you got to streamline yourself and identify whether you want to go towards gaming as a line or whether you want to go towards video editing as a line. Video editing, I'm talking about from a production point of view. What kind of videos, right? That is a very different line altogether. Any other questions? There are a lot of programs that happen. If you search training programs, there are a lot of programs that a lot of universities provide. IGNU also provides such programs. There are a lot of, I think, people who are doing journalism and mass comm courses do a lot of things which are closely affiliated to publishing industry. So they have more of an idea of what publishing does. So yes, that could be one of the starting points. Pratham was saying something.
Yes, sir. So my question was that one of the problem I have faced is that the first one is consistency. There is a lack of consistency in my work, and secondly, scheduling. So suppose I create a schedule of I have to do this, and that today, but the problem is if I focus my attention on the first thing. So suppose I have to create some social media post today. So I will focus my whole day on that post. But if I have to switch on the different topic, like if I have to switch from to a different thing on the same day, then it cannot happen. It's very hard to channel my energy from one thing to another. So how do we achieve that on a daily basis?
So I think that's so again. See, being consistent obviously is important, no doubt about it. If you're not consistent, it doesn't work. And it's not just publishing. Whether you do any job, you have to be consistent in what you do. In publishing, there are two things that you can be. Either you can be a multitasker, or you may be someone who is just a subject matter expert. So you got to understand that, right? See, not everybody, Pratham, is good with multitasking. Sometimes you are very good at doing just one thing and you are brilliant at it. So publishing as an industry has a lot of value for people who are very, very good with just what they do particularly. So say, for example, you might be very good at creating social media posts, right? But you may not be very good at, I don't know, maybe IT. Okay. So you're very good at creating the post, but you don't know ki button kahan click karna hai, for example. That works. So publishing as an industry does value people who have a very particular skill set, right? So You need not. So if you, like you said, that you have difficulty in switching to, doing something, you're doing something once and then it becomes difficult for you to switch to something else. See, it is always better if you're a multitasker. This is what I feel, and it's a very personal opinion. I think multitasking is the way forward. But in publishing, even if you are not good at multitasking, but you are very, very good at what you do, there are opportunities for you. But definitely you have to be consistent. Consistency cannot be compromised upon. You cannot say that today I was very good at creating a social media post, but tomorrow I am not. Okay, there is no scope for that. If you are to work somewhere, if you want to be, and I would use a very specific term, employable. If you want to be employable, right, you have to be consistent. One of the very important things, in fact, for publishing an industry is to be consistent. See, because consistency is what defines your pay scale. Consistency is what defines your at the level at which you work. Because if you are excellent today and you are terrible the other day, as an employer, I would not employ you. Nobody will employ you. Because while there would be days you would be excellent, but as an employer, I cannot afford you to be terrible at your work, even for once. I don't mind you to be average, right? Because then I can have somebody else to better the product that you have delivered. You bring it up to a certain level every time, and then somebody else can build on it. So that is a different thing. But inconsistency may not be the right way forward. Anybody else? Anything else that I can address? There are a lot of book publishing courses out there, which you can opt for. Just to understand what we as a publishing house do, you can obviously check out our website. There are a lot of publishing courses available. In fact, if I am not wrong, some of the prominent B schools have started offering publishers training programs. They range from a few weeks to a few months. There is a diploma publishing course as well with a couple of universities that I'm aware of. So those could be starting points for you. Anything else?
So for a beginner, which is better, freelancing or internship for future?
Okay. So internship is just one of the starting points. So once you're ready, once you feel that I want to work in a corporate environment, or I just want to work with a publishing house, with a media house, with the publishing industry, gain experience, and you're not sure which department might be the right fit for me, I think that is where internship helps, because you get an overall idea of the different departments in a publishing house. And if the publishing house is aware and systematic and they're a good publisher, they acquaint you with all the different departments and they try you out at different things, and it helps you identify what you are good at as well. That is one. Freelancing is very different. For freelancing, you ought to be freelancing for what? Are you a freelance photographer? Are you a freelance designer? Are you a freelance writer? Are you a freelance PR guy? Are you a freelance social media guy? So what are you freelancing into? So freelancing is a good opportunity if you know what you want to do. So, you can start small. You can say that, okay, this is what I want to freelance. I want to be a freelance photographer, right? So you create a profile, you create a portfolio, put it out there, use LinkedIn, go to networking platform, connect with media houses, put in a word in your circle, do a good job. So word of mouth is something that goes a long way in book publishing industry, more than anything else. So if you're good at what you do, if you're reasonable about your prices, if you're humble, so I think humility goes a long way in publishing industry. We as publishers don't like people who are arrogant. ठीक है, IT में चलता है, finance में चलता है. I come across a lot of people who are into finance. So yes, this is what I do. This is what I'm good at. No, publishing में humility comes first. That is very important. So freelancing and internships are two very different things. Anything else? So I think I'm almost at the end of my seminar. Are there any other questions? No. Okay, great. So I'll just wrap this up in 2 minutes. So publishing is an opportunity. Publishing as a career opportunity. Publishing as a future. Read about it. Study it. Just talk about it. Understand what you're good at. And I think this is the best time. You guys in your college, students, I think the next 10 years are very bright for book publishing, for publishing in India. And I'll just close with some very small numbers. And like I said before, 93% of the Indian book publishing is school books. Basically, school books when you talk about KG to class 12 is school books, right? As per the study which was conducted in 2015, there are more than 20,000 book publishers alone in India, with more than 22,000 book retailers. And India has 22 official languages. So all this that I have said is not just English or Hindi. It could be any languages, any language. More and more people are becoming literate. So there is a literacy expectancy of more than 90% at the end of 2022, which is a big number. Just to give you a ballpark idea, online e-commerce, which is a big channel for book industry, for book publishing, for books to sell, in India accounts for only 20% of book sales. Whereas in developed countries, the likes of US and UK, it's 55%. That means that there's a long way for us to be, right? So yes, this is where you ought to be. This is where you should be. This is where you can be. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. I am available on LinkedIn. You have my website. You have my store page. Okay, Prachi is asking, how do we start? So Prachi, you got to identify whether you want to look at publishing as a career opportunity or not. That is one. If your answer is yes, then the thing is, you identify what skill set you bring to the table. Are you an engineer? Are you a writer? Are you an author? Are you an illustrator? Are you a photographer? Are you a business development guy? Are you a PR person? So what skill set do you have? Number 3, I think internship is a good opportunity, is a good way to start. Once you complete, so as publishers, we hire a lot of interns who are in their second year as well. It's like a 1.5 month internship. So summer internships are a good place to start with. It's a good experience. So I think that is where you could start. If you are already good at something, somebody was talking about editing, and there was somebody else who talked about I think content writing and freelancing. So if you feel you're good with writing something, create a profile, create a portfolio, and start applying. Start putting a word out in your circle that this is what I want to do. So that is something that's where you can start. So internship is also an opportunity, and freelancing as well. Deadlines are important, Gaurav. Okay, if you know what you have to do, and if you are not able to finish that work on time, then there is something wrong with the process that you are following, right? You know what you have to do. You're just not doing it on time. So first ask yourself, are you delivering work which is of high quality? If you're not delivering on time and you're not delivering quality, then it is worthless, right? If you're delivering quality work, but time is an issue, then maybe you can streamline your process a little bit more. So that will help you meet deadlines. See, if your work involves a lot of creativity, sometimes deadlines can be flexed upon, but that varies from project to project and company to company. But if it is a more systematic kind of a thing, if it is a process which can be broken down into different snippets and bits, and which is not a function of creativity, then deadlines do need to be met. So you got to figure out what is it that is making you delay your deadlines. Is it your approach? Is it your process? Is it the fact that you're just doing too much of R&D? So what is taking you more time? You got to cut short that time. So deadlines are important. Cannot be compromised upon.
Okay.
Okay. So that wraps up the session from my end. So I hand it over to Dr. Ravneet.
Yeah, thank you so much. So thank you so much, Mr. Sahil, for such an insightful session on publishing as an industry which has ample of career opportunity for young talent, from production to editorial to sales and marketing. The range of jobs are varied, and where you land depends solely on your interest, strength, and how you equip yourself with the relevant skill set for the job, I suppose. So there are many roles in publishing which one can check out and then decide that one in which they are good at and more comfortable in it. This session must have inspired some of the students to look forward to publishing industries.
Yes.
With this, thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Ravneet. Thank you, Shruti. I think Professor Amit is not here today, if I'm not wrong, but thank you to him for giving me this opportunity as well, for being here.
Sir is on leave today, and he must be somewhere out. So we are here for you. Thank you so much.
No, it's a pleasure being here and very nice interacting with all the students. I hope I was able to give them some information about publishing as a career opportunity. And trust me, I'm not saying this because I am a publisher, but just overall, I think India is at the cusp of an edtech revolution, and the numbers are here for everybody to see. The kind of investments and funding which is taking place and the kind of numbers that we are received. Publishing in the last 5 years has become almost double of what it was. So it is growing at a rate of more than 18% annually, which is very, very high if you compare it with any other industry. So yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Ravneet. Thank you to all the students who are here.
So much.
And thank you.